Investors Title Company sponsored this class this morning. My name is Cindy Hughes.
Hey guys.
I've been a marketing rep with Investors Title Company for 21 years. Investors Title Company has been in business since 1972. We have offices in St. Charles and all over St. Louis County, so we always welcome your business and the opportunity to earn your trust. I'm joined today by two of my managers, Julie Bader and Jennifer Silver, closers that are always anxious to work with you. So thank you so much for coming, and thank all of the panelists for coming. I am going to introduce each of them, but before I do, I'm going to start. I have a drawing for a $25 gas card. I'm going to start this basket around. We'll start it here. And then on the table in the back was a piece of paper that you could write down a question that you wanted to have asked. So after I introduce the panelists, if you would hold up the paper, and I'll collect those papers, and then throughout, if you have a question, either you can hold up the paper or Leo will ask the question for you. So we are going to start here. Excuse me, I haven't memorized all this. Linda Bamer is a licensed realtor recognized as broker salesperson by the state of Missouri. Linda partners with her daughter Kelly as team leaders for the Bamer team at Prudential Select Properties. The Bamer team is the #1 Prudential Select team in St. Charles County and ranks in the top 1% company-wide. Linda has over 16 years of experience in home sales, with many of those years selling new construction and serving as Vice President of Sales and Marketing for a top-producing local home builder. Linda is a member of the St. Louis Home Builders Association and the St. Charles County Association of Realtors, where she holds several designations and certifications. Linda and Kelly recently received the St. Louis Post-Dispatch Reader's Choice Top Agent Award for the 2nd year in a row. Linda vows to be a student forever, learning from every transaction, client, and business associate she encounters. So welcome, Linda. And then Susan Brewer, with over 14 years of real estate experience and named 5 times as the top residential sales agent for SCCAR, Susan Brewer has made a name for herself as a business leader in St. Charles County. Selling homes from $20,000 to $3 million, Susan built a solid reputation as a true professional. At the end of 2007, Susan started her own real estate company, Susan Brewer Service First Real Estate, focused on servicing clients with a group of professionals dedicated to treating clients with the utmost care. Susan's home sellers are treated to an all-inclusive marketing plan that includes a mix of the tried and true traditional marketing concepts infused with cutting-edge technology. Susan works with her home buyers to understand their personal needs and wants in a new home and make sure that they are viewing homes that meet their criteria while assisting them with the complicated process of purchasing a home. While Susan excels at negotiating and selling homes, her true passion is in training. Each agent that joins her company benefits from her vast knowledge and experience, having the opportunity to participate in her customized training classes and learning the service-first approach to real estate. This year, the company has opened a 2nd office in historic St. Charles City that utilizes the latest in technology to assist her agents. So welcome, Susan. And welcome, Bonnie. Bonnie is a lifelong resident of St. Louis, and her passion is real estate. Bonnie has worked her way through many different aspects of the real estate field and comes to us with over 5 years of real estate experience. Bonnie has perfected the role of being a buyer's advocate and is now the lead buyer specialist for the Theobald Realty Group of Keller Williams. Bonnie's goal is to attain the status of 30 under 30 in the realtor world, and she is well on her way to reach her goal. So. Jennifer Piglasi began her real estate career in 1995, working in new construction sales before crossing over to existing home sales as an associate for Gunmaker. In 2003, Jennifer obtained her broker's license and took on duties as an office trainer, followed by assistant manager in management positions. Jennifer's career came full circle 2 years ago when she returned to her love for sales. Today, Jennifer works for Cole Baker Gundaker as a team with her mother and business partner, Jeannie Piglowski, and her father, Rich Piglowski, who is a recent addition as a buyer specialist. Jennifer is an active member of SCCAR, serving as SCCAR president in 2006. Jennifer is currently a member of the MAR Finance Committee and chair of the Risk Management Mission Committee. In addition, Jennifer is currently our NAR National Director. So, if you want to hold these up, I will pick these up, and then Leah is our moderator today, so she will.
Morning, everybody. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay, so the goal for our panelists is you've got to project, okay? Because we have a good group here today, and we're really glad that everybody can be with us. Again, my name is Leah Petrus, and I am a realtor. I'm also was the chair of the Professional Development Committee last year. And one of the things that we did is we reached out to the affiliates and said, hey, what can we do to help you bring more information to the realtors that would benefit them? Cindy jumped on board with that and said, hey, how can we do this? So as a group of realtors, we brainstormed and said, what better way than to bring a group of professionals together? And is this a diverse group or what? I mean, yes, all aspects of the business. So we're going to start off this morning by asking each one of them, if they could, in a synopsis, to give us an idea of what your day looks like. And I know Susan said that's kind of Pandora's box. But if we could, because I know, just listening to the introductions, that they are very different in their businesses. So if we could, Linda, if you want to start, just give us an idea of kind of what's a snapshot of your day.
Susan and I talked briefly and said you may all go running from the room. The goal is to be busy, let's face it. So if we're not busy, we're busy trying to figure out how to be busy. But snapshot of the day, and we'll get into some of these other topics, but you have to take some time out of each day to do your must-do, can't be interrupted, structured work. You have to, and if it means you get up at 6 and do that, because you will be pulled a million different directions by the time the world wakes up and needs you. So you have to operate off of some structured time of the day. Snapshot of the day, this is my fourth appointment of the day, just to give you any idea. At 8, an 8:30, a 9:30, we're here. I have a new construction after this, a listing at 3, and an appointment this evening. In order to do that, it takes a ton of organization and preparation, and we'll talk more about that. But the snapshot of the day is you're either busy or you're busy figuring out how to be busy, but keeping some organized time to make sure that when you do have a busy day, things go as close to plan as possible.
Thanks, Linda. Susan?
Absolutely. Everything she said is more than correct. Some people are more systems, and some people are more free-spirited through the day, and I think you have to have a good combination of both. At latest, I'm at my office at 7:45 every morning, physically in the office working. Doesn't mean that I haven't already spent an hour or two on the computer or the night before organizing my day. In a typical Monday through Friday environment is probably what we're trying to get to on this. Saturdays and Sundays are really solely open houses on Sunday. Saturdays are buyers, sellers, listing appointments, whatever the weekends with. But I found that over the last couple of years, and last year numbers are just in, I closed right at 41 million, with 70% of that being listings, 30% of that being buy sides. So my time really has to be organized well. And today was a prime example. I'm really geared up, I'm gonna do this. I have a walk-in come into the office. Asked for me 45 minutes prior to me thinking I was going to leave here. Well, when we kind of got into the situation, he owns $1 million home, I decided I had to make the decision on how compact I was going to make my presentation to him. So sometimes you can't be as systematic as you'd like to be. You have to learn to roll with some of the punches. Now, I will tell you, last year was the first year that I really structured my day to where it was, my listing appointments are from 10 to noon, and then again from 2 all the way through to the end of the day. So I found there was 2 hours in the middle of the day, on days that I had, you know, appointments all day long, that I could recoup and fight some of the fires. So you might find that structuring, this is absolute listing or buyer time, and this is absolutely catch-up time, might help you feel like you have some of that free flow, but also that structured part to your day. So no day's the same. I think we did decide that.
So I think you can see from these two ladies that they definitely have the full big picture of listings and buyers, and they are running their business as a business as well. I think what we're gonna see with Bonnie is a little bit different take on that, where Bonnie has working with someone and she has a specific role in that big picture of being a business. So Bonnie, if you share a little bit about that.
Definitely. Mine's a little bit different. Being the lead buyer specialist, I have to have a little bit of focus. So my goal every day is to stay in my 20%. The 20% is basically to write a contract every day. That's the goal. So to start off the day, lead generation, because if we push it off, we're not going to get to it. Meetings with team members to make sure that they're hitting their goals, that they don't need anything from me. One-on-ones with vendors, other agents, clients, making sure they're happy, showing property, writing offers, get it done. So with the specialization of the focus, the team handles all the other aspects, so my job is just to bring it in.
So Bonnie, I want to ask you, now Linda talked about, you know, the big picture, and Susan, you talked about a 7:45 start day. What typically is an end time if you were looking at a typical day?
Typical day, 8-ish.
Okay,
7:30 to 8-ish, if there's appointment along the way, a little bit later, but
okay, and Susan, what time do you usually quit? Let's say, what time do you go home?
It's really different.
It is.
You know, I have appointments, the other night I had an appointment at 11:30 at night because they have 6 kids. That's the only time they can get all 6 kids put away, sleeping, quiet, something, so that they can concentrate.
Okay,
So again, you know,
so time management sometimes isn't always timing. And Bonnie, how about you? What do you see as a beginning and an end? Do you know, when you talk about prospecting, I don't know about the rest of you, but prospecting is the thing that we hate to do the most. And you do it in the morning, so what does that start? What's that start time? Are you a morning? Are you an evening person?
I am not a morning person. 9 at the latest, should be earlier. I'm working on that. I've got a little bit of accountability holding me down. But 9 at the latest, and then after all the contracts are written for the day, whatever time that may be.
Okay, perfect. All right, and Jennifer?
I would say kind of same thing, and maybe to talk about times. I am consistently in the office by 8 a.m. and that could be 7:30, that could be 8:15 or something one day, but again, on average, 8 a.m. is my time in the office. I usually meet our staff there. And I think that's important, is just getting your day going. As far as going home, I like to try to say I'll be home by 6, and don't tell my husband that. Normally it's 7. And then 7 o'clock means still doing some things on the computer as I'm trying to sit down and settle down on my day. And as Susan, I mean, you just kind of, I go with the punches, because I had, a couple weeks ago, I had a 9:15 meeting at Applebee's after an appointment that I got home at 11 o'clock. And it was putting out a new construction fire so that we could meet with the builder the next day. So again, that schedule's going to change. But what I do is, I do kind of end every day really looking at what my calendar is for the next day, so that I can mentally prepare myself for everything that I have going on the next day. I do have some specific days and times that I'll do things, like on Monday. That's definitely Monday mornings, first thing in is going to be all of your open house feedback. That's going to be sending the information on what your like online traffic for the websites were. I use Listing Book. I don't know if any of you guys use the open house feature ads, so I get that report off on Monday mornings and things like that. Feedback. I know some agents have structured days that they prepare their client. They will call them on a Monday or a Tuesday. That I don't do, because I find that a lot of sellers want to know it immediately. So my feedback is more as soon as I receive it. I let the automated feedback forms go out to agents, and typically within 48 hours, I will have feedback to prepare my client or to share with my seller. So that's how I set the expectation with them, is that the majority of their feedback I'll have within 48 hours, and they will have it as soon as I have it. If I don't have something in 48 hours, then I will try to make a phone call for that last-ditch effort to get feedback from that agent who showed. So again, my feedback is more immediate as it comes in. And as Susan said, Sundays are open house, so Rich, my father, does all of our signs and everything, so I don't have to worry about any of that. But again, the physical act of being there, because opens are a very important part of our business, and so that is kind of an every Sunday thing for really all the members of our team.
Perfect. Bonnie, this one's not going to be directed to you, but I want to kind of follow up on something that Jennifer just said. How important is it to each of you that realtors give you feedback on your listings that when they've shown the property? How important do you find that to be in your business? Linda?
We think it's critical. We think it's absolutely critical. We find that, and my partner Kelly handles the feedback, but what we find is agents who don't do a lot of listings don't understand the value of their feedback. And it's nothing against them, but if you don't do a lot of listings and you're not put in that position, you just don't realize the importance of it. And we'll call them and they'll say, we didn't buy it. What else do you need to know? We've had people say that. Or we've had people say, I don't even know which house it is. You know, I'm showing so many. But we're very similar in numbers as far as our ratios, buyers to sellers, to Susan is, and it's critical. And we go to great lengths. So there's a few agents that we can tell when they're showing the property, and we've actually called them and said, thank you, thank you, thank you. Top agents who will stand in the house and tap it in on their phone, and we get their feedback. We know they're in the house. So it's critical. So and we try to reciprocate as well. It's critical. It's a very important part.
Anything to add to that?
I agree. I think it's just common courtesy. You know, the sellers are inviting a complete stranger to come in their house and open their cabinets and look in their closets and dig underneath their sinks to look for leaks, and that common courtesy is you tell them what you felt about their home. And, you know, yeah, maybe it's not as in-depth sometimes as we'd like to see it. Sometimes it's more in-depth than we'd like to see it. But quite honestly, if we can get that communication going back and forth, the product or the homes that are out there on the market are going to be better. You're going to have to show less houses. So, you know, just because it's feedback, it's got a whole chain reaction to it. You know, if you can fix it, then why should 20 people go into the same house and say the same problem with it, but nobody tells us that, you know? So, again, you know, it is critical.
And I'm sorry, I know I had my turn, but I have one quick thought for agents.
We will not let them monopolize the class.
You know, one thing I will suggest, and I don't know what service everybody uses, but in most services, you can go in and write your own questions. And really, I would encourage you to do that. We've done that, you know, just the standard, is your buyers in this property, rated from 1 to 5. Go in, research your feedback system, and customize the feedback to actually add some value. And if we show up a property or we reciprocate, I look at their feedback and I look at their questions and I go, hey, this is a good question. Or she may look at ours and say, hey, this is a good question. So I would encourage you, if you're listing homes, to structure your own feedback questions.
Yeah, perfect. Jennifer, anything in addition?
No, I do, I agree. I think it's very important, and we appreciate it because our sellers are wanting to know what that is. And like I said, I set the expectation with my seller. Otherwise, if they forget and they don't hear me, they're calling me 20 minutes after the showing. And so I have to remind them of what the expectation for feedback is to them. But they're anxious to know. And at the same time, we can use that as, I think, similar to what Susan said, corrective criticism. You know, if we don't know, I just had a situation, I had a home on the market 4 months, and I had never heard this one particular scenario. But I heard it once, and then actually Rich held an open house and heard it 3 times out of 4 people, and we corrected it the next week, and it was sold. Actually, I had 3 offers on it in 36 hours. So, I mean, those are the situations that if we don't know, we can't fix it. But we can also maybe get back to you and say, hey, if your buyer would reconsider this, we just took care of this. So, again, we appreciate it, sellers appreciate it, and I know that you do too if you're listing property.
Perfect. I'm going to interrupt my line of questioning. I'm going to take, we had some of these questions that were passed out. one of the things, and I'm gonna allow everybody but Linda to answer this, no, I'm kidding, Linda.
Yeah, you two turns on one.
Yeah. Okay, so the question is, and I'm gonna start with Bonnie. Bonnie, what's your biggest obstacle other than getting up and being at work before night?
Biggest obstacle? That is a good question. I think myself, just the motivation, myself, getting it done, work until the job's done.
Yeah. I mean, can we feel that? I mean, I think that's a human reaction. I think that's a good one. It's keeping self-motivation
Yeah.
in the situation. Jennifer, what about you?
Now ask the question. 'cause you
What
answered
is your
it.
biggest obstacle in your business?
Probably time management and personal time. Personal time's my biggest obstacle. That my husband will tell you.
Susan?
I'm gonna say communication, and that's internally, but also externally. I think as people get busier, we lose some basic communication skills. You know, I had 2 contracts sitting in my email the other day for hours and hours and hours that the agent never called and said, I'm sending you an offer.
Yeah.
Communication, even though it's so much easier. You have text, you have cell phones, you have that. It seems like 14 years ago, agents communicated better together with not having any of those. You know, 14 years ago, you had a bag phone or a pager. But we spoke to each other more often than we do today when it's really simplified. We could do those things. So I think communication, and you know, I'm on a big kick this year. We've done it in our company so far on basic types of culture, where it comes a rule, where it comes a system, where it becomes a common courtesy, and where do these guys overlap? And I don't know that a common courtesy is calling someone to say you're sending them an offer. I think it should be a rule, because you've got buyers and sellers relying on this piece of paper, but nobody knows it exists.
It could be in your junk mail or something like that.
You got it, absolutely.
Did everybody hear Adrian? Adrian said, you know, if you just send it, it can end up in your junk mail, and that offer never gets presented.
I've had that happen to me with
Happens
the
all the
contract.
time.
Right.
From your standpoint,
Yeah,
come over.
Lisa? Did
Well,
you-
and also, I mean, she could have 2 other offers, and I had the same thing happen this week. And it was almost an entire fiasco,
Sure.
because the agent never said it was there, I had no idea, and it's right in the middle of the Super Bowl, and it was really not, it's tough.
So what I'm hearing
If
from
it was a
this
house.
is not only is our technology a great thing, but we really need to go back to the grassroots effort of communicating and making that phone call, sending that text message, whatever we need to do. You know, if we are familiar with working with that person and we know that they respond to text message, or we know, and I will tell you, if I send a text message and you don't text me back, I'm going to be calling you. Because I like to text message. I mean, to me, that's a time saver. So I use a lot, but you know, that may not be for everybody. So, Bonnie, I wanted to ask you, what advice would you give to a new agent getting into the business?
Fail forward, just go for it, just do it. You're not gonna learn unless you try it out, and you see what works and what doesn't work, so fail forward.
Good advice. Good advice. Jennifer?
I think planning your day and scheduling, so that, especially as a new agent, making sure that you have specific tasks that you're going to do that are business building tasks, that are lead generating tasks. Because if you just wait for the business to come, it's not going to come in like you think. So the preparation, and again, our days get a little crazier as we're busier, but when you are a new agent and maybe not as busy, you can plan that day. So time management and planning your day.
Perfect. Now I'm going to allude to Linda because I'm going to come back to you, Susan, because I know you have a different scenario here. So Linda, what would you, if a new realtor approached you at the office, what would you tell them?
You know, I think that, and we see a lot of new realtors, but I think the number one thing I would tell them is treat it as a career and not a hobby. Take it seriously. I was fortunate enough to come out of a corporate world where I got up, got dressed, showered, went to work, and was in my office. So this was not a change. This is a very short story, but when I was my very first week in an office, I got up on the Monday morning of our sales meeting, or Tuesday morning of our sales meeting, and my mom had called and had a little emergency. And I called the office and said, oh, this is Linda Bamer, I just wanted to tell you I won't be at the meeting today. And the girl goes, okay, and hung up. Because in my world, we all had to be, you know, I ran a sales team of 45 people. So I get to work and I'm like, I called to let them know I wasn't coming, and people kept going, okay. But in my mind, it was my job, and it was my job to be there, and we've always, my partner and I both have always treated it like a career, and set goals. Many goals. I went back the other day and found my business plan. I wrote the first, you know, and this is my 4th year, but my first year, I'm gonna do this and this and this. And I've done those things, and I continue to do those things. So set goals, and if you're not a goal achiever, make mini goals. It's easy to achieve. It's easy to achieve those. So take it serious and set some goals for yourself.
I know over the years, people have talked about how silly it is, but you know, going back to training over the years, one of the things they tell you is if you've got a goal, cut that picture out, write it down, and stick it up where you can see it every day. And I think that still works in the big picture, even though we are more technology driven. If you want to put it on the front page of your iPad when you log on every morning, but if your small attainable goal is not to drive a VW and to drive a car where you can fit more than 2 people in it, then you need to put that car out there and say, this is what my goal is to accomplish this. So I think that's true. Now, Susan is in a different environment where she has her a company. And in that company, you've hired and allowed new agents to come in. So Susan, if you'd share with us a little bit about what is like the biggest tip that you might give a brand new agent?
Well, of course, Linda got to steal my thunder with use it as a career, because it is. Think of it as that, as a business. Just like if you were going to an office, you would kind of leave the personal baggage at the door as you're walking to the elevator to go to your private office, or as you're walking through the building. You have to do that in real estate too. The consumer wants you to be their professional. They don't want to know every personal problem of yours. They don't want to be your best friend until you get the job done. After the job's done, so treat it as a true career. The other thing is invest back into your business. Many agents don't. And one thing that I learned probably year 2, my manager said, there's 2 things you need to do. Or before that, probably. One, you need to invest back into yourself, and the second thing you need to do is invest back into your business. And whether that's upgrading your phone, upgrading your laptop, investing in some type of technology, maybe it's running specialized ads. Whatever it is, you have to make sure that you are really growing yourself. Otherwise you get bored. You want to make sure that you're really looking at it like a real career. So many people come to me and they'll say, I'm not so sure if I want to quit my real job to be a realtor. What in the world? What does that mean? And a lot of us, I don't know that we always treat it as a real job.
And I would have to agree with you there.
And I don't get to hire the agents, my husband does.
Well,
so
yeah.
I had to step on his toes a little bit.
That's okay. One of the things that we wanted to touch on is your business model. So I think we've kind of touched on that a little bit, but overall, each person has a business model, and we have to sit down at the beginning of every year and say, okay, how do I want this perception to be? So Jennifer, I know your team has been built over the last couple of years. So you and your mom and all you guys became. So how did that come about, and what was behind the decision making behind that?
Ours is a little unique, I guess, because it is family. So when I transitioned back 2 years ago, ours is a little unique just because Jeannie and I are kind of the team leaders, but we do our business individually at the same time, if that makes sense. We manage our own listings because we do things a little bit differently, and I'm not going to change her, and she's probably not going to change me. But as a business model, as we are growing and adding, I just added a buyer specialist, so for 2013 I have a buyer specialist. That's where our model will begin changing. So we'll have Jeannie and myself, we primarily handle listings. We do a bit with buyers, but again, we're transitioning those leads to our buyer's agents. So that's how our model is changing, and that will from Susan and them. I don't know if that'll give me any more structure in my life or timing, but at the same time, that's where I'm trying to put a little more structure into my life. So,
What
again,
was that tipping point? What made you decide, I need to do something, I need to make that change? I need that to be
for
different.
adding a buyer specialist, it was truly not enough time in the day, or feeling like, from a customer service standpoint, I wasn't able to service the leads that we were obtaining. I mean, I have a name and a reputation to uphold, and so servicing is important. So I think that's the tipping point, that we were handling our business fine in 11. We, handled our business well in 12, but again, it was 11 that we knew something was going to have to change as we move forward. So it's really giving individualized